Good morning, everyone. Now, how many of you have known somebody who's had allergies or has allergies? This is a picture of someone having an allergic reaction. Though sneezing is minimal, it is a type of allergic reaction. Today I will be informing you on a few different types of allergies, on allergy sufferers and how they affect themselves and the people around them. Being an allergy sufferer myself, I know how it affects myself and people around me. Everyone has experienced some type of reaction, whether it's from the environment or something they have eaten. Today I will highlight a few common allergies, how they affect people physically and how they affect the people around them. A lot of time, reactions occur randomly or due to the environment that people are in. About a couple of weeks ago, I was training for cross country, and I found out that I was allergic to willow trees. Willow trees is one of 40 trees that I'm allergic to. I found this out because I inhaled the pollen from the trees as I was running. And this caused me to first break out in hives, then I lost my vision, and then I stopped breathing. That's a severe allergic reaction, but having an allergic reaction to trees is very common. An allergic reaction is hypersensitive reaction to a particular allergen. Symptoms can vary greatly. A few types of allergic reactions, like I explained earlier: breakdown in hives, you can itch, your throat can close, you can sweat severely. A few of the most common allergies are fish, milk, bread, and nuts. These are some of the type of reactions that people can have. If a person doesn't know, oftentimes it affects people around the person with the allergic reaction because, for instance, if I am allergic to milk, someone severely allergic to milk, people cannot bring it around me either because I can die from it or I'll have a bad reaction. Oftentimes people with allergic reactions have to specify when they go to restaurants that they can't have a certain item in the food. This also affects coworkers and family members because if I can't eat, for instance, I'm allergic to wheat. If I can't eat wheat, now everybody in the family has to adjust their diet to what I'm eating, or a separate meal has to be made for myself. Oftentimes this can be a strain on families because not everyone can't eat what they want because of one person. This can affect coworkers. I have a severe allergy towards wheat and high fructose corn syrup. At Disneyland, I work in one of the candy stores. We call it permed, which means you have to stay in a certain room your whole shift. I am permed in the back end of the store because I will have an allergic reaction to it because I'll inhale what's in the candy store. This affects my coworkers because now we move on rotation, and since I am crammed in a room, I mess up the rotation, and now people have to be moved from where they were to the candy room, and it kind of slows the process down. This can affect classmates because, like I said earlier, you can't bring certain things in the room. If I had severe allergy, I would have to let the teacher know, the teacher would have to let the class know. Notes would have to be put up on the doors, and you would have to make sure that you don't bring that specific item into the classroom. Seven out of 10 people have an allergic reaction daily, according to WebMD. And 1 in 5 people have severe allergies. So that means about 3 of you in this classroom have severe allergies to something. So today I've talked to you about most common allergies and how they occur and how they affect. Now I'm going to let you know how to treat them. Some people who have severe allergies have an EpiPen. It looks weird. If I were to have an allergic reaction, or if someone were to have an EpiPen that has an allergic reaction, you find this on them. You pull this safety mechanism out. First call 911. That's the first thing you do. Then you pull the safety mechanism out, and then you stab it in my thigh. This breaks through jeans. You have to hear the needle pop into your thigh. Then you hold for 10 seconds. And you have to get me to a medic because I'll go into anaphylactic shock. It's a very serious thing. So if you know someone with allergies, be sure to be sensitive to what they're allergic to. So be aware and know that allergies are a big deal.
Oh, I meant to remind Harriet that you were doing the oral evaluation. Harriet, what did you think of the speech?
I think he had a clear, specific purpose statement and like a clear picture, but some of the transitions weren't that smooth, and like there were like awkward moments of silence, but I think that he had a really clear organization. He talked about the kind of things, the allergens, and then the symptoms, and then he moved on to how it affects people around him, which I can follow through it. Yeah. Oh, and I like the attention grabber, when the man sneezes, that picture was funny, so I was interested in the topic. And I like the visual aids in general, because it explains a lot of the things that he talked about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me see. I don't really care for audience surveys. It was okay, but it felt sort of like it was unplanned, and it's not very involving. The picture is kind of a funny bit, but it all just feels like it's awkwardly coming together as opposed to having been planned to come together. And I think that can be illustrated by the fact that early on, It sounds like your purpose statement is that you're going to inform us about this. I mean, and we talked about that. I don't really want you to use that terminology in your purpose statement. Now, later you had something that sounded like it was another purpose statement, but I actually think it was the first of the supporting points that you're presenting in the speech. So the goal is very, very general. There is a preview in the presentation, and I thought that that was one thing that should have helped quite a bit. But once you got into the body of the speech, I'm going to disagree a little bit with Harriet. I had a hard time figuring out what the supporting structure was. And even though I'd been given a preview, I didn't think that it was very clear that you were moving through those steps. It felt very random as you were presenting information. Most of the information, by the way, is not cited. It's not until the end that we got a little bit of source citation. I think that you probably would have been better off by giving us that information about the number of people who have allergies and allergic reactions every day early on in the speech. That would give you a little bit more justification and involve us a little bit more. And then talk about the individual actions or reactions that people have. They all stay at kind of a abstract level. So your descriptions are fine for the most part of what happens to people, but I think if you had some examples or stories that you could tell, it would be a little bit more interesting and a little bit more naturalistic. Your personal examples, I think, are the ones that work the best in the speech, where you're telling us about things that could happen to you or the difficulty that it is with your co-workers, for instance, and the problems that you're facing in a situation like that or in a classroom. It would have been great, for instance, to talk about maybe a classroom experience that you had in elementary school or high school where this was in fact an issue, that they had to post something on the door that said no corn nuts or something like that, severe allergies, and how well did the students cooperate with that, or did you get any resistance or people give you a hard time about that? I think that would make it a little bit more compelling and personal. The visuals are okay. Mostly they're being used for transitions. I didn't, everything in the first couple of things was, very kind of generic about the way people react. I thought when you got to the symptoms, it was a little bit more useful and gave us a little bit better detail there. I think that Harriet stumbled on one of the issues in the presentation from the very beginning, and that is the pacing feels awkward. As you're delivering the speech, you sound uncertain, you're hesitant as to what you're going to be talking about next. It really feels like it needs a lot more rehearsal so that we know that you know what you're talking about, and I think it would probably be easier for you to get more information into the speech if you had a little bit more of that kind of dynamic that comes from being well-versed and rehearsed in the presentation. I think, for instance, that going back to the introduction for just a second, I would have liked to have heard that story that you told about having an allergic reaction to the tree, the willow trees, as maybe your attention device. Start off by talking about how you were practicing for cross country, you're going out for the day to run, and you didn't expect to be assaulted by a tree, and the next thing you know, there you were, laid low by something that was growing on the path that you happened to be running through, and explain to us what happened in that situation. And then you can kind of transition and say, that's a pretty severe allergic reaction to the pollens that come from that tree. And then you could give us some of that statistical information. 1 in 5 people are allergic to something, and there are thousands of allergic reactions every day that people have, and some of them are deadly, as a matter of fact. And so today, what I want to do is highlight for you the major allergies or something like that. I just think it would give you a lot more control at the beginning of the speech. All right, thank you.